Hello friends, Gringo Bob Newton here. Yes, the Rogue Researcher is back in the flesh again. I know you thought I was going to do one video and move on. But you see, 17 years ago, I said I was in this for the long haul. And I meant it. I wish to introduce you to some of my research that lured me down this rabbit hole, which so far has no end. What I've done is I've combined 3 episodes from my Armchair Excursions series that I put together during the COVID lockdowns to save me time from doing the video over again. That was a lot of work doing it the first time. So cut me a little slack. During that time, I was experimenting with AI generated voiceovers. So please, forgive the British accent. Also remember, in my last video, I stated I'm an amateurologist in many things. Anyway, it's about the research, right? The picture that is drawn. When I think of the Garden of the Gods, I flash back to the first time I went there. It was a beautiful morning on April 6th, 1967, that I first laid eyes on the Garden of the Gods in Colorado Springs, Colorado. The towering, vertical sandstone slabs were covered with 6 feet of freshly fallen snow, with the majestic, shining mountain we call Pikes Peak today radiating in the background. From the garden for the gods, you can see Pikes Peak kiss the clouds drifting under the aqua blue sky. Well, you could back then. Not so much now with the chemtrails saturating the skies, Without a doubt, the spirits in the garden touched me that day and left me with an image of beauty I've never lost along my way. However, it's what I located inside the Garden of the Gods that made me question everything I knew, especially about the Native Americans of the Western USA. And again, I found myself submerged in the depths of unanswered questions. After pondering my 100-plus weekends I spent roaming the back corners in the garden over those 4 years, I am left with a few questions. What age in time did the original people first seek shelter in what we call Garden of the Gods today? And the bigger questions are, who were the original people and where did they originate from? The Garden of the Gods is the biggest tourist attraction in Colorado Springs, Colorado, and along the Front Range. In my opinion, Colorado Springs is a beautiful, beautiful city that has lost its innocence. But under the surface of what Colorado Springs has become, there is a history that reaches deep into prehistoric times. How far into prehistory is for you to decide. But here is how far into the times I went. Let me introduce you to Island, Colorado.
Island, Colorado. This ongoing excursion will take us into the ancient western states of what is now the United States of America, from about 120 million years ago till present. The evolution and metamorphosis the western half of North America has gone through is unique, especially when it's compared with the rest of the 7 continents we see today. As North America moved into its present position, the continents of Appalachia and Laramidia formed as they were separated by an inland sea. The inland sea started its incursion into the interior of the landmass, about 190 million years ago. The fragmenting activity encompassed hundreds of millions of years, and the continent has traversed thousands of miles as North America continues to evolve into the continent we see today. During that time span, many species came and went, plant and animal alike. Using the modern names, the Western Interior Seaway waxed and waned for millions of years, and vanished between 70 to 80 million years ago. At the same time, North America was breaking its final bond from Europe, taking with it a variety of life. The geology, plants, animals and possibly ancient man, all have gone through the metamorphosis into what we see today. As we dive deeper into why I named this segment, Island Colorado, you'll see what I added ancient man to the passengers list on this 80 million year journey. During the 110 million year lifespan of the Western Interior Seaway, many species came and went, aquatic, mammal, plant, and reptilian. Some species evolved into their own breeds, while others were added to the extinction list. Today we're headed south of Denver, Colorado, to Colorado Springs, where between an estimated 90 to 70 million years ago, there was an island, nestled at the base of Pikes Peak. This island was almost 200 miles long, and 100 miles wide, and it lay just a short distance off the east coast of the island continent of Laramidia. The island was giving birth to new lands for the second time, as the Rocky Mountains were emerging and the Western Seaway retreated. The fine sands intermixed with ocean sediments as they settled on the seafloor, and the mixture created multiple layers of limestone, sandstone, and many varieties of clay, mostly shades of reddish-brown, to pure white. Layer by layer the sediments settled and mixed with the dissipating ash clouds that were created by the volcanic activity of the time. This concoction settled in on the top of the granite crust below, in sheets of varied thickness, and in isolated pockets that were deposited by the Western Interior Seaway as it waxed, waned and finally retreated. The lost continents of Laramidia, Appalachia, and Island Canada were created when the Western Interior Seaway invaded North America and segmented the continent. As the mighty Rocky Mountains rose, they thrust large slabs of sandstone upright, creating colorful formations along the front range of the Rocky Mountains. The Dakota Ridge Fault Line traverses the Front Range from northern Canada into Mexico. Over the course of time, the layers of clay were dissolved by the elements, and exposed the sand and limestone layers in the vertical slabs of stone that created the canvas for the Garden of the Gods. The story goes much further back in the timeline, 1 billion years ago, give or take a few million years. That was when molten rock started to cool and eventually created the Pikes Peak granite that the Rocky Mountains emerged from. At the beginning of the early Jurassic period, some 200 million years ago, North America was still attached to northern Africa and the European continent, about the time Pangaea started to fragment. North America's geology tells a story that we need to listen to in order to gain the perception, where the picture of the geological history emerges and connects with the nature it created. The point being, when we understand this little bit of knowledge, and add it to the possibilities in front of us, we're able to connect dots that paints a picture that can't be denied anymore. I have to step back, repeat myself, and ask, are we just too small to see it, or is our scope too narrow? Have we been compartmentalized to the point we can't place the missing pieces in the image that geological time presents? Attention needs to be paid to the importance of these ancient monuments cut into stone. The Garden of the Gods are sacred lands to the Americans, native to the Pikes Peak region. Sleeping giants, shadow art, and maki-maki may be new terms in your vocabulary, but they work for me. I needed a system to catalog the various methods the ancients used to create these works of art. Shadow art and maki-maki are facets of these ancient art forms. So, Please join us on our next episode, where the rogue researcher will take you deeper down the rabbit hole that started this quest over 5 decades ago. The Garden for the Gods. In episode 4, we assembled a few parts of North America's geological history, which, as we know, North America has been from one extreme to the other on its forever changing, evolutionary path. As I said earlier, parts are parts, and this image has more parts than you can see, until we put the parts together, thus making possibilities, probabilities. In my search, I found a few of the components that's missing from our image of the historical past: time, travel, distance, and rate of motion, which are important factors to consider. North America started its journey 200 million years ago, and has traveled an estimated distance of 11,619 kilometers, or 7,219.8 miles. That measurement is based on the distance between the present-day southern Florida coastline and the West African coastline of Mauritania. The average rate South America and Africa have put between themselves is about 1 inch per year. In the 100 million years, South America has traveled an average of 5,630 kilometers, or 3,500 miles. In the 100 million years, between the separation of North America and the fragmenting of South America from Africa, North America had gone through numerous transitions, and was divided by the Western Inland Sea, from north to south. We'll get back to the subjects of South America and Africa in a future Armchair Excursions episode. My research started in Colorado, back in the year 1967. A long time ago for me, but geologically speaking, a flash. Geology is Mother Nature's clock, and she ticks slowly. I snapped this picture at the Garden of the Gods Visitors Center in 1995. The vista opened a window in time when this image slapped me in the face as I focused on the overall shape of the formation before me. Once recognized, it's unforgettable. Of course, the Visitors Center is a major attraction one must visit before going into the garden, especially if they aren't familiar with the region. This picture ignited a search as to whom created this gigantic work of art, and how has it stayed hidden for so long. I believe what we find on the backside of South Gateway Rock may give us a clue as to whom may have had a hand in the creation of some, if not all, of what we find on North Gateway and South Gateway Rock formations. I have a different name for North Gateway Rock that I'll share shortly. First, we must examine an image found on the backside of South Gateway Rock, on the vertical standing slab of red sandstone, in order to expose the talent and daring of the artist, or artists that created it. Maki maki, in the Quechua and Japanese languages, means sculpted by hand. More on that connection later. Just going by visual observation, I'd venture to guess this is thin layers of limestone, or hardened volcanic ash, still clinging to the cliff face. Sadly, my days of climbing these formations have long since passed, but luckily, we've been blessed with drone footage that takes us to these locations in a zip, without all that effort, and exposing ourselves to the dangerous situations that climbers face when climbing up sandstone. I've been told more than once that the images I share are nothing more than pareidolia, and yes, there is pareidolia everywhere. However, when someone tells me what I present is pareidolia, my answer to them is, have you done the research behind what is presented? What are the depths of time that Maki Maki comes from, and whom were the creators? The probability of me ever identifying the exact moment in time this global phenomena, Maki Maki, and shadow art were created is slim to none. But I'm confident we can nail down a span of time that the art covers. Let's take a brief look into an eroding past, where before the buffalo roamed the Great Plains of North America, back when the Western Inland Sea was heard lapping at the base of the formation walls. I want to show you some of the wonders on and surrounding Northgate Rock and Southgate Rock. I promise not to show you all of them, in case you ever wish to visit, and I do recommend a few days stay. We are looking at Northgate Rock from the backside in an area I call the Back 40. There are 4 easily recognizable images on the west side of Northgate Rock that needs a little zoom action to reveal the images. In the next episode, number 6, I'll take you into the area where the ancients lived and share more, in the hopes you and others will grasp and embrace the importance of these monuments and the messages on them. There is a need to preserve them and give credits to a long-gone people. Erosion, whether it be the erosion of stone or time, they eventually erase what once was, like the Langoliers did in that Stephen King movie. What once was, no longer is, and the garden is in the middle of that analogy. Personally, I've found Makemake on the North and South American landmasses. Predominantly, in the Garden for the Gods, and in the Sacred Valley of Cusco, Peru. The major difference between the two locations lay between the consistency of the stone that we find the Makemake located on. The Garden is sandstone, and Peru is granite, with some exception. We are just barely scratching the surface of this global phenomenon of shape-shifting forms of shadow art that's created by the images cut into the landscapes around the planet. In the following episodes, I'll share more of my theory of the Garden for the Gods and the Sacred Valley. The connection between the two is there, however, we have to step back many millions of years in order to see the layers of time Makemake emerged from. Geologically speaking, just 200 million years ago, North and South America were brothers, fused together in a tight bond. That bond was broken when the motherland, Gondwanaland, was coming to pieces, as Gondwanaland divorced itself from Pangaea. As North and South America separated, there was a connection that lasted for millions of years, which is now called Central America and Mexico. The cultural, architectural, iconographic, and geographical similarities can be traced up the landmass, until it hits what once was, no longer is. The deserts in northern Mexico. The Sonoran and Chihuahuan deserts form a natural migration hazard between Mexico and the border states of California, Arizona, New Mexico, and Texas. Truth being, the desert extends from northern Mexico deep into the western United States. The Great Basin Desert being the granddaddy of them all. Just for identification purposes and future reference, I'll name this extended desert the Grand Desert, since deserts have no borders until man creates them. In episode 5, I said I'd show you the back 40 of the garden. Well, the back 40 is very big. In order to see the connection that I see between the Sacred Valley and the Garden of the Gods, we have to accept a few possibilities that are over the edge, to be honest. Then again, at this time, who is there to say my point of view is wrong? I accept that there will be those who's anchored themselves to the narrative being taught today, and close their minds to such possibilities. Maybe the evidence will change their perspective somewhat. The Makemake that I'm presenting reveals there was intelligent life during times the modern narrative ignores or dismisses as pareidolia. Personally, I'm awestruck by the creativeness the ancient sculptures exhibited in transforming these natural formations into works of art that reveal connections to times we can't ignore anymore. The creators of Makemake turned the geological clock back to bygone eras, where this connection was more than possible. What would the signs be that connect to times that could possibly go back tens, or even hundreds of millions of years? Let's see if we can find a few hidden in the mix. I believe when all the evidence is laid out on the table, it will open a line of questioning that hasn't been initiated before. What will it take to bring this image into focus? What is, and where is, this evidence? That answer is very simple. It's hiding in plain sight, and overlooked because someone says it's pareidolia. When I find an image that is out of context, that tells me it's worthy of further investigation. Pareidolia is similar to daydreaming, and letting your imagination grab a fleeting moment, whisking through the clouds, but Makemake is deliberate, and sculpted by hand. Therefore, I believe it would be safe to assume that the artists, who created this work, had to have seen one, to be able to create the replica, or is that reaching too far, into the bag of wishes? If we were to run with that obvious bit of insight, that this Makemake is 70 million years, or older than what the experts are telling us. What does that tell you? It speaks loudly to me. The sad thing is, the experts don't acknowledge this image. If they are aware, the local archaeologist keeps it secreted from the public. There are countless images, found on the vertical standing sandstone formations, and hidden within the landscape at the Garden of the Gods. For preservation purposes, I'm not exposing the locations to some places I wandered upon, in my 4 years of intensive meandering, for a reason. Main reason being, the ones mixed in with society, that seem to enjoy, stealing, or destroying the sacred lands of the ancients. As rumor has it, there were some religious types that crept into the garden, and dynamited a bunch of the images, due to their religious belief that Satan left these images to confuse us.
Okay, this is where the fish and the face looking up in the air is. It's swinging on around. It's just a beautiful formation, just full of these seemingly round holes. And then when you get over to this right side, this is where it really becomes interesting. This is a sleeping giant. Top, you can see his face, his eyes, his cheek. And you can see where the material was removed away to give him a cheek relief. And also you can see where the mouth has been cut. It's been scooped out, and they even left support columns on the inside of it. So you can come down it, and, there's the mouth, the neck, hands folded on chest. Looks like a very happy belly. He looks like he's sitting in his recliner, just scoping out something in the sky, maybe that direction. It's just an interesting formation. Many secrets here.
Okay, turn around and say hi, Bob.
Hey, it's happening. This is one of the mysteries here. This is a strange rock, guys. Looks like it's been around for 350 million years and doing well. Let's go find that arch. my butt. God, look how much.
Keep talking.
Look how much bigger this is than I am. I'm 6 foot. Okay, this is my head in the hole. Okay. Now I'm going to move down to where the curvature of my spine matches this. Now I'll get a picture.
I got it.
Okay, then I move down to where my leg and here.
Okay, so lay back down.
Look at this. The elbow goes right here. And this is flat.
Okay, lay back down for a second. Oh yeah, holy cow.
Holy shit.
Okay,
Did you get the one where I was in the hole here?
well let me come around.
Yeah, watch out for that edge over there.
Yep. Okay, lift your arm up out of there, set. Yeah, I can't see it now.
You can from that direction right there.
Okay, go ahead and put your arm back in there. Whoa. That's bizarre.
If you made it to this point in the video, thank you muchly. That tells me you are a researcher. I'm not an expert, but that doesn't mean I'm not serious. Just kidding, folks. I am serious. I believe this overview is full of rabbit holes to explore and go down. If you haven't done so already, I recommend it. And I'm here to tell you, there are some deep dives one can take that will create an unforgettable image of the ancient times in the American Southwest. If you liked the content, or not, leave a comment, a like, and maybe think about subscribing to the channel. As you can see, I'm starting over from the beginning with a new vision. And this time around, I have a few more tools at my disposal to draw my picture. I'm Gringo Bob Newton, the Rogue Researcher, signing off till next time. Stay tuned.